Ano po muna yung inaasahan po ninyo muna na marinig dito sa talumpati ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, especially 'no, ito na yung penultimate, niya na talumpati?
Ang inaasahan ko of course yung, kanyang panukala para mapabuti yung, buhay ng ating mga mamamayan, yung mga manggagawa, yung mga magsasaka na patuloy na iipit sa iba't tingin ko dapat talaga meron siyang report sa, sambayan ng Pilipino yung tungkol sa flood control scandal 'no, dahil maraming naiinip at, marami pa ring nagmamanman 'no, kung ano ang kahihinatnan nito.
Prof. Jean ano, una ko po katanungan, ano po ba yung ano, based on your, sa inyong mga pag-aaral, obserbasyon dito sa mga nakaraang administrasyon, what makes the penultimate SONA different from other SONAs na ginagawa ng isang pangulo?
Well, that's a very good question. With 2 years left to, his term, it's very important that, this SONA should already build 'no, the
Oo.
legacy that the Marcos Jr. administration would want to establish. So, importante 'no. So, kailangan, meron siyang mga sasabihin na, magde-define kumbaga sa kanyang administration and, the entire, camp, the entire administration very hard to, make this a reality.
Mhm.
And Prof. Jean, ilan din sa mga tinututukan nga 'no, gaya ng nabanggit nyo is yung corruption, pagtingin ng mga tao dito sa corruption. In terms of sa pagsasalita ng presidente, at least in the past few months, ano po yung inaasahan natin na marinig from him in terms of like accomplishments ba o ano pa yung mga next steps niya dito sa usapin ng flood control and corruption?
Sa usapin ng flood control and corruption, tingin ko napakahalaga na mag-report siya kung ano na yung nangyayari dun sa mga hindi pa naaaresto, ano yung steps na ginagawa ng, law enforcement
Mhm.
agencies, for Department of Justice for instance, dun sa mga balakasuhan ng ombudsman kasi, ito yung naiinip na ang taong bayan ano. Bagamat meron ng mga naaresto, naiintindihan namin na, kailangan pang, um, masinsin para magkaroon ng malakas na kaso. Pero sana, magpaliwanag ang presidente dahil ito yung defining moment ng hindi lang nung speech niya last year, hindi lang yung SONA niya last year, kung hindi ng tingin ko ng kanyang administration. This is one thing that, I think will define his entire administration, yung flood control scandal at kung paano niya hinarap ito, paano niya ito inaddress.
At least for what he is doing, no, meron ding ilang mga nagsasabi na itong mga recent arrests, mga nababalita po na pagfa-file ng kaso against the contractors ay matatawag po ba ito na it's a political strategy, or how do we know from the public perspective na there is genuine want for accountability from the president?
Well, of course, there have already been arrests, and these are steps in the right direction. Ang tingin ko, the public will really realize that the president is sincere if those who are arrested are the ones that are closest to him. No? Ito talaga yung magpapatunay na wala siyang kinikilingan, wala siyang pinapaboran, wala yung tinatawag ng ibang sektor na quote-unquote selective justice.
Mhm. Prof. Jean, ano, gusto kong i-shift yung conversation to a more political analyst na perspektibo. No? Una po, how would you characterize the Marcos leadership 4 years into his term? Kasi na-mention niyo po, Prof. Jean, no, na parang itong penultimate na SONA niya, it would,
Is the
nagsisimula din
opposite.
siya pag-define ng kanyang legacy. Ano, so, 4 years into his term, Prof. Jean, how would you characterize itong leadership, pamumuno ni Pangulong Marcos?
Yeah, I guess he is the opposite of a micromanager. Kumbaga, 'di ba ang micromanager, yun yung lahat binubusisi, meticulous. Siya naman sobrang parang masyadong cool and relaxed that in moments of crisis, for instance, parang hindi natin siya maringgan ng madiing mga statements, ng resolute na pagtasa kung ano mga gagawin niya, no? Alam mo, maaaring ano rin ito, no? Communications problem. Kasi lahat naman ng mga ginagawa niya, hindi naman pwedeng malaman yun ng publiko, no?
Mhm.
So, kailangan din talaga na matindi yung kanyang communications team para maramdaman ng mga tao ito na kung wala sa personality, for instance, ng presidente na maging parang so-called gung-ho sa lahat ng mga issues at mabilis mag-react, dapat may gawin yung communications team para at least maramdaman ng mga tao that he is on track with his best efforts.
Prof. G, noong 2022, no, nanalo si Pangulong Marcos with 31 million votes. Siya yata yung pinakamalaking boto na natanggap ng isang presidential winner. 4 years into his term, how much of his political capital ang nakikita niyong nandyan pa rin hanggang ngayon? Because as we get closer to the 2028 elections, Prof. G, no, nakikita natin mas nag-identify na yung mga ilang politiko with some of them identify more with the Duterte clan, who we can say ay ito yung sa mga matunog na kalaban kumbaga ng administrasyon, if you can call it an opposition, some would call it that, no? So how much of the Marcoses original political capital is still there?
Sorry, naging choppy ka. Can you please ask the question again?
How much of the Marcoses original political capital is there? Because when he entered the office, no, siya yung pinakamaraming natanggap na boto ng isang presidente, no? So you can call him very popular no, when he was elected. But now, as we get closer dito sa 2028 elections, mas marami ng politiko unti-unting kumbaga pinapakita yung kanilang alliances. Some of them identify more with the Duterte group, so how much of his original political capital is still there 4 years into his term?
Well, if we look at his trust and approval ratings, makikita natin na talagang bumaba ng gusto, no? Ang tingin ko mainly because of the huge number of votes that he got in the 2022 elections. Malaki yung expectation ng taong bayan sa kanya. At unang-una yung kalo sa kanya ay gamit yung tatay niya, no? Pero I think 2 years left to his term, by now, na-realize sa mga taong bayan na hindi siya yung tatay niya, no? Hindi siya yung strong man, kumbaga, na katulad ng tatay niya. Oo, so malaking bagay ito, no? Kasama na rin doon yung mga krisis na kinakaharap natin, no? Pwede kasing sabihin ng iba na wala naman siyang kinalaman sa gera, wala siyang kinalaman doon sa pagtaas ng presyo ng langis dahil ito sa gera. Pero alam mo, yung leadership metal na tinatawag ng mga presidente ay nasusubok din kung paano sila humarap sa krisis. No, kasama sa par for the course ang ang mga krisis, no, galing sa loob ng bansa o mapagaling sa labas ng bansa, no. Kung paano mo in-address ito ay doon ka susukatin ng taong bayan.
Very interesting observation, Prof. Jean and Bell, no? Yung nabanggit po ninyo about the comparisons with his father, that President Bongbong is not a strong man. And I think, I don't know if you would agree with me, Prof. Jean, no? Pero parang mas na-highlight palalo itong characteristic na ito ni Pangulong Marcos, especially when you look at his predecessor, which is former President Rodrigo Duterte. Ano po?
Yes, tama yun, no? I have always believed that the victory of Marcos Jr. in the 2022 elections was paid by the Duterte administration.
Mhm.
No? So, kaya naman gano'n na lang yung disappointment ng taong bayan. Sorry, hindi ko marinig.
Yung
Yeah.
fallout daw po ng Marcos and Duterte coalition, ano? Nakaapekto po ba ito doon sa perception ng
Ng
publiko?
publiko.
Very much, very much. Kasi 'di ba, when they teamed up in the 2022 elections, makikita mo na talagang na-solidify yung strongman image na gustong iparating nung kampanya, no? Kasi pareho silang anak ng parehong so-called strongmen. So talagang malakas yung tandem, no? Na-reinforce yun nung pag-team up nilang dalawa ni Sara Duterte. Pero nadagdagan dun sa hindi ina-expect ng tao na hindi pala siya katulad ng tatay niya, nadagdagan din yung pag-break up ng unit team. Ano?
Mhm.
Yung breakup ng unit team, Prof. Jean, do you see it in your own observation? No? Do you think it helped President Marcos or mas nakasama po yun sa kanya? Because on one hand, you mentioned, no, syempre, again, it's a coalition. So naturally, nung naghiwalay sila, may mga nawala rin, kumbaga, na hawak ni President Marcos. But on the other side, you can also look at it as an opportunity for the Marcos to team up with other coalitions and join other coalitions. Ano? So, in your assessment, Prof. Jean, itong fallout ng unit team, do you think it helped o mas nakasama para kay Pangulong Marcos?
Sa tingin ko nakasama kasi alam mo, even if in the past, no, ang presidente at vice president ay hindi na nagkasundo, maraming ganyang example, no. Yung sa kanilang dalawa ni VP Sara Duterte, ang kanilang battle cry nung 2022 elections ay unity team, no.
Oo.
Karaniwan naman ng sinasabi yan siyempre sa kampanya ng VP at presidential candidate, pero yung sa kanila sila talaga na yun yung entire narrative ng campaign nila. Pero isa rin ito sa pinakamabilis na nag-break up, 'di ba? If you recall yung mga ibang mga VP and presidents ng bansa natin post EDSA. So, yun yung isang dahilan. Public official in the land, no? So, lahat ng mga nangyayari at mga hindi nangyayari, lahat ng gusto at hindi gusto ng taong bayan, sa kanya talaga nakatutok eh. So, yun yung constant na kailangang harapin ng bawat presidente, natural sa kanya talaga yung magiging fallout. Plus
I
the
see.
fact that plus the fact na si ang pangatlo, VP Sara, meron siyang solid support from
Davao, yeah.
Oo.
Visayas na talagang very loyal. May linguistic loyalty yun eh, no? So identity yun, identity politics. So mahirap matibag yun ng basta-basta isang issue lang.
I see. And Prof, meron din tayong kinakaharap na impeachment under this administration. And ano po yung masasabi natin with how the president is handling it na parang so far, no, he's been very hands-off with the impeachment. I-address kaya niya ito sa SONA or what does it say about him whether or not he addresses this sa speech niya mamaya?
Yeah, no, I guess sa akin ang expectation ko baka i-address niya but in a very subtle manner, no?
Yeah.
Para hindi masyadong magmukhang very much involved siya, no? Although we know what real politics is all about, mahirap isiping hindi siya may involved dito sa impeachment, no? Kahit na back channel talks man lang, 'di ba? So these are all manifestations of real politics that we should know about. Pero of course, historically hindi naman talaga inaamin ng mga presidente at hindi rin sila magsasabi ng napakagangho nila dun sa impeachment because sasabihin nila yung separation of powers. But at the very least, I think meron siyang reference nito kahit subtle man lang.
Yeah.
Kanina, I was asking about the lame duck curse. Bel and I, nag-uusapan namin kanina yung current rating ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos, although it improved from -15 to -7, we're still in the negative territory. Ito ba yung indikasyon ng lame duck curse na sinasabi natin patungkol sa ating mga Pangulo?
Well, of course, yung approval ratings and trust ratings, pwedeng sukatan ito, no, ng pagiging lame duck. Pero alam mo, for as long as the president is president, he has a lot of formal and informal powers, no? Marami pa rin siyang pwedeng gawin, no? Para humabol, kumbaga, dun sa mga dapat niyang habulin na kanyang agenda para sa taong bayan, and of course, para i-address yung halimbawa yung flood control scandal. So, nananatiling nakatutok dapat ang taong bayan. The problem lang with his low approval ratings is baka malusaw yung kanyang ability to anoint, no, as a tradition has it, no? Normally, 'di ba, merong mga presidente na bago matapos yung term nila, meron silang sasabihin kung sino yung pinapaboran nilang susunod na magiging presidente. Baka malusaw 'yon, no? Given his approval ratings. Pero hindi naman kailangang very overt, no? Kumbaga yung pagsuporta niya kung sino man, no? At saka baka wala ring gustong suportahan siya, no? Ay gustong humingi ng suporta niya, pwedeng ganun din, 'di ba? So malulusaw yung kanyang bargaining power, no? Kung sino man yung kanyang gustong suportahan dahil hindi nga sought after yung kanyang endorsement.
Just a quick update lamang, Professor Jean, no? Nagtapos na po itong sesyon dyan sa Senado, no? So a few minutes from now, inaasahan naman natin na ito magtatapos na rin yung sesyon dito sa Kamara bago bumiyahe yung ating mga senador papunta dito sa Batasan Pambansa dito sa Quezon City. So talking about the senators, Prof. Jean, no? Kasi pinag-usapan namin kanina, historically mas independent yung Senado, no, kumpara sa House with regard to its relationship with the executive branch. Of course, there would be may mga sabihin na separation of powers, branches, ganyan. Pero if we're going to be observant, ito lang yung ating na-obserbahan. No? But so historically, ganun yung sitwasyon. What does it say? Especially in the backdrop of the impeachment trial ni Vice President Sara Duterte, that we're seeing certain senators really siding with the Duterte side. Pagdating dito sa, again, especially if you add as a added context yung rift between the Marcos and the Dutertes and Vice President Sara Duterte being a contender in the 2028 national elections.
Ang tingin ko yung nangyayari sa Senado, it's a manifestation of the ways in which the country is polarized right now because of the breakup of the unit team, no? So meron silang pinapakita na ito ngayon ang kumbaga tayaan ng mga tao sa bansa natin. Either you are with VP Sara or you are against VP Sara, no? Pero sa akin sobrang simplification 'yun, no? Kasi ang hinahabol natin dito is really accountability, no? Kung hindi maipapakita ito ng Senado, mawi-weaken yung ating democratic institutions. Remember, 26 years ago or so, we had an impeachment trial, no? Kay President Erap Estrada, and Senate prosecution had to walk out, and then nagkaroon ng EDSA 2. We don't want that to happen again. Ang kailangan talaga maging matatag ang Senado this time para naman maipakita natin sa buong mundo at sa taong bayan na kumbaga nag-mature naman tayo kahit papaano bilang demokrasya, no? Yun yung aking reading sa situation.
Based from your assessment po of the impeachment trial so far, how it is being handled by the Senate, nakikita na po ba yung maturity na tinutukoy nyo based from the previous impeachment to what is happening right now?
Well, right now I'd like to believe that the Senate is really trying its best to provide VP Sara due process.
Mhm.
No? Of course, we occasionally may mga questions from the Sara camp in the Senate that may seem to be perceived as very much pro Sara, but then at the very least, the Senate as an institution is trying its best to give Sara Duterte the space, no, that would be perceived as the Senate um, granting Sara Duterte due process in this impeachment trial.
And at least for the senators na would say or would appear as leaning towards aligning themselves with the Sara Duterte camp, meron po ba itong political benefit for them?
Absolutely. Absolutely. No? Syempre, they're also pandering to their political base, which is also aligned with the political base of Sara Duterte. So, that's why they're doing it, and also because of the hypothetical scenario which was presented by um, surveys that tell us that currently the most likely to be president in the 2028 elections, according to electoral polls, is Sara Duterte. So they're already sort of trying to curry favor from Sara Duterte based on these surveys.
Especially Prof. Jing, kung tingnan natin yung sino yung line-up ng mga pro-Sara senators at the moment, no? Marami doon, re-electionist
Yeah.
for 2028, and some of them could seek higher position. No? Sige, puntahan po natin yung 2028 national elections, Prof. Gino. Normal po ba na at this point, wala pang malinaw na administration candidate? Is that normal na 2 years before the national elections? It's not even wala pang matunog. Parang wala pang malinaw talaga even at this point kung sino ba talaga yung magiging administration candidate. Is that a normal thing 2 years before the national elections?
Yeah, precisely because I think one thing would be that walang kandidatong lumalapit probably sa president. Kasi nga dahil mababa yung kanyang so far approval and trust ratings, so feeling nila siguro hindi nila kailangan ng endorsement power ng president. Secondly, the president's camp may also be trying its best not to be perceived as campaigning already for the 2028 elections, given nga that mababa yung approval ratings and trust ratings nila, no? Baka lalo pang bumaba pag sinabing, namumuliti ka na, wala pang nangyayari. Parang gano'n.
Sige, diretsuhin ko na po yung tanong ko, Prof. Gino. There may be some principal differences between the camp of former Vice Presidents Leni Robredo and current President Bongbong Marcos. But is there any political benefit na lumapit si Vice President Leni Robredo kay President Bongbong Marcos? Is there any political benefit, principles aside? The difference in principles aside?
That's a good question, but I don't think if there is a chance or if that happens, I don't think we will know about it. Just to preserve the political base, the pink base. Kasi baka maging divisive yun among the pink. Siyempre may mga iba, ang tingin nila siyempre yung so-called purists, 'di ba? Ang tingin nila hindi ka dapat maging kaalyado ni Marcos Jr., kalaban ka noon, magkalaban kayo ng 2022 election, sinuportahan ka namin dahil anti-Marcos ka, and pag lumapit ka, then para kang sell out, no? I understand that's a valid point. So if ever this happens, I don't think we will know about it. Yung somebody's camp seeking the support of Marcos Jr. Yeah.
But yung pink socks po ba, pahiwatig ba to of the president's
Oo.
willingness, if ever,
To
to
work
endorse?
with-
Yeah?
Um,
Nung nagpunta siya, no?
sa
Well,
Naga.
these are photo ops, no, that had become viral, so to speak. But it's difficult to speculate. But then the other day, I think former VP Leni Robredo, now Naga City Mayor, expressed positive comments about the administration. Well, I see it as something that former VP Leni realized now that she is already a Naga City mayor, no? That in a sense, no, she's trying to say that the administration is doing something hindi lang natin nalalaman, and at the end of the day kasi when you are a city mayor or any mayor for that matter, mahalaga yung suporta ng national level politicians, specifically the president, no? Nakikita niya siguro yung benefit ngayon, no?
Bilang pangwakas, Prof. Jean, ano po yung sa tingin niyo yung dapat maging prioridad ni Pangulong Marcos sa kanyang speech mamaya? Is it preserving public approval? Is it maintaining congressional support? Is it maintaining unity within his coalition? Especially nga po, patapos naman na yung kanyang termino. Ano dapat, at this point, ano yung dapat binibigyang prioridad? Of course, andyan na yung serving the people, andyan na po yun. But from a political perspective, what should he give priority to?
You mean in terms of a political strategy or in terms of substantive policies that he has to pursue within the next 2
in terms of
years?
political strategy po, Prof. G.
Well, he already has the support of the House. Historically, gano'n naman talaga yun, no? I think he has to really hone in the need, no, to complete, no, or at the very least have a significant number of the common or priority legislative agenda to be approved, no, by Congress. Malaking bagay yon kasi isang sukatan din yon on his success as president, no? So kinakailangang talagang i-emphasize niya yon, no? And the way to do that is also to say that these legislative agenda also has a lot of beneficiaries which will also politically benefit the Senate and members of the House of Representatives, no? Para kahit yung hindi gusto siya, susuportahan din, no, yung kanyang mga legislative agenda para kailangan niyang maipakita yon na kailangan to ng taong bayan kahit gusto mo ko o ayaw mo ko. I think that's the best way to do it.
Pahabol lang, Prof. G, no? Absent si Vice President Sara Duterte sa SONA ni Pangulong Marcos mamayang hapon. Currently, she is in an overseas trip, no? At ito ay to visit Filipino communities there. Ganun po yun. Ano po yung optics? What's the message behind this? That on one hand, you have the President delivering his SONA. The Vice President skips it to instead visit a Filipino community overseas. Ano yung optics? Ano yung mensahe nito?
I think that's a deadma politics, no, for me, no, which I do not support, no. Kasi when you attend the SONA, you're not just attending it just because you like or do not like the president. You are actually complying or honoring a tradition that is enshrined in the 1987 Constitution. You're honoring the coming together of people from all political stripes or political colors to listen to the state of the nation, no? Whether you like or you do not support the president, you have to support the presidency, no? Not just the president. And I think to a politician, to someone who is aiming to be president, that should be the most important thing.